Cool. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am here today with a very, very good friend of mine, Jen. That felt so formal.
I know.
So Jen is practicing currently. You are a trauma-informed coach.
Yes.
And your business is called Intuitive Embodiment.
It is.
And you are based in Helena Valley, but predominantly online?
Online, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So tell me what trauma-informed coaching is for those who have no idea.
Well, trauma-informed coaching is just really taking into account people's background and their upbringing and their belief systems when I approach them to help them work through what they're going through now. So it's kind of like dredging through the past because that shapes who we are, and then working through anything from the past that's holding them back and stopping them from moving forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds like we all need that.
Oh, yeah.
And I love how you use the word dredging, you know, the implication that it's quite heavy and dense.
It can be.
For a lot of us, there's a lot of crap back there.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Nobody gets off with not having some kind of past.
Yeah.
You know, it's within all of us.
So I'm going to pick that apart in a second, but let's go to your origin story.
Okay.
How did you find yourself drawn to this modality?
Really because of my own healing. Like it's really all because of the tools that I found useful in my own healing journey. And that really, it spurred me on to like help others with.
Is that your phone?
It is, yes.
Oh, that's fine. I thought my camera stopped. Sorry. Please continue your healing journey.
Yes, my healing journey. Should have put the phone on silent. Do you want to edit that out?
No, it's fine. Oh, keep rolling, go.
Yeah, so my own healing journey is really what spurred on. So I have been on a healing journey for 10 years, and I have explored so many different modalities in that time. And really what I offer my clients now is a mix of all of the things that I have found very useful to me, but also picked up along the way that maybe didn't work for me, but might work for other people. So it's really like 10 years of research and digging deep into myself.
Going through your own stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Because I can only meet clients to the same depth that I've met myself.
Yeah.
And like I've been all the way down there quite a few times in my life. And it really is, it's difficult. And I have come through it and it's not been easy. And if I can offer that support to other people who maybe are having a bit of a difficult time on their own healing journey, then that really, it makes me feel like that is my purpose in life, is just to help people get through that, because it is possible and there is light at the end of the tunnel. And when you're in the deepest, darkest depths, it's hard to see that light. So hopefully I can just help guide people back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's all right, you have had a bit of a tumultuous health history, right?
Yes.
So when you say you've been low, you have gone through cancer.
Yes, yeah.
And that's like 10 years ago?
It was, yeah.
And so was that a trigger?
Yeah.
The trigger?
The trigger, 100%.
And so often it is, isn't it, when people go on these healing journeys or, you know, transform their life, something really terrible or challenging has to happen. And, you know, there's a little bit of a blessing in it, in that it completely changes everything.
Yeah, well, I think it has to sometimes get to the point, like if you're stubborn like I am, then you have to get to the point where something is so serious, like being faced with your mortality, before you will actually go, okay, I've got to do something different now, because this isn't working anymore.
And you're right, you are stubborn. You're a Capricorn. And I think my health journey has come from ignoring things, because I'm an Aries and I will just keep going and ignore my body.
I get that,
So there's these interesting themes that come up.
Absolutely.
Okay, but you've also got a background as a crystal healer or in crystal healing and in tarot, because we used to do bunky weird markets with weirdos reading tarot cards together.
Back in the day.
It was so good and so bad.
Yeah. It was an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah. So are you going to bring in the tarot and crystal healing at some point?
Yeah, for sure, because I feel like that's the roots of my abilities these days.
And you're really good at it.
Oh, thank you.
You are.
I really enjoy it as well, but I feel like recently with the intuitive embodiment, I feel like it's almost like I had to do all of that woo-woo stuff, you know, like the crystals, and just explore that more sort of spiritual side of me. And then I kind of stepped into the more scientific, because with trauma release therapy, there's a lot of like, you know, cognitive behavioral.
Hello everyone, sorry there are some audio issues for just a few seconds and everything should return back to normal in just a moment.
Yeah, at the moment. So it's trying to find that kind of blend that's just like the sweet spot.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your offerings. That's where I'll start.
Okay.
So you have intuitive embodiment coaching, where I'm just reading from your website, you connect to spirit and the higher self of your client and to tap into their wisdom. And you offer this as like a package of sessions weekly. And, you know, it helps keep people on track and keep them accountable, which I think is really, really valuable, because people can dip in and dip out if you don't. And you give them personalized assignments, which I think is really, really cool. It sounds all very like awesome and confronting.
Very. But I think it when you're at a point where you really are like, I need to do something different, then the intuitive embodiment coaching that I'm offering is like, right, this is it. Like, this is not for the weak. You either are all in, or you're not. Like, if you want to go all in, then I'm there with you every single step of the way. But you have to show up as well. And that's a huge part of the healing sort of process. You have to show up for yourself. And it's not always easy.
Oh, hell no. I know how many times have we sat down and chatted and then you start therapizing me. You know, you go, oh, should we do a session? And how many times I've, like, my gut goes, oh, no. I don't want to deal with it. Or when we do, it is so confronting. And, you know, it's easy to go, what can this lady say? What can, you know, in this case, one of my best friends, what can she say to make me uncomfortable? A lot. You can say a lot. And you do it so gently and so sweetly. And the next thing you're like sitting there like, oh man, I've got some things to think about. But on top of that, I find in my experience, you have an amazing energy about you. So if I did your job, I think people might find me offensive.
No.
I think just a bit more abrasive. Like,
you're more to the point, I think, than I am.
But you are so gentle, and I've encountered this energy before with psychologists and counselors. There is, I can almost see intuitively like a vortex that draws, that entices people to talk, if that makes sense. And you definitely have that. So I really love that offering that you have.
Thank you.
Trauma release. Talk to me about that. The word trauma has so much stigma.
I know.
And there was something that I read on your website that said, what is traumatic for one person is not an issue for another. They just take it in their stride and off they go. So talk to me about trauma release.
Well, like you've just said, you know, trauma it really is subjective. And people who experience big trauma, you know, like physical or emotional abuse, or, you know, like some kind of physical travesty, like a car crash or something like that, that is what we kind of associate as trauma. But depending on your outlook in life, if you are a sensitive soul like me, I am exceptionally sensitive, then even like a sentence that somebody says to you can deeply wound you for the rest of your life.
Something you heard at 5 years old that was said in passing that stuck with you today.
Exactly. Yeah. So you may have had a teacher who you had worked really, really hard on a piece of work when you were like 6 years old, and you put so much effort in, and you took it to the teacher and they just went, okay, and then just kind of put it to the side and didn't even look at it, and you feel like all of your effort has been for nothing. You know, that can live with you for the rest of your life unless you unpack it. But a lot of the time these things happen to us and we react to them because there's magic within that for us to kind of unlock a part of ourselves that is like to do with our purpose, or you know, to do with the reason that we are actually here in this lifetime.
So sometimes these horrible events are
they're like the key to unlocking magic in your life.
And they could also be like karmic or fated.
Exactly.
Or you know, a challenge gifted to you.
Yes.
That's so interesting. So you use somatic techniques.
Yes.
And for people who don't know what they are, could you describe or tell us what a somatic technique is?
So soma, my belief about soma is the body, like the physical vessel that we embody. And somatic techniques are like using the body to release trauma and tension. Because we can hold memory of traumatic experiences within our organs, within our tissue, within bones, and it just stays there, and unless it is acknowledged and validated and moved through. So somatic techniques are really just the physical release of these things. So just a small example, I sometimes do suffer from anxiety myself. Like, I shouldn't say suffer, I live with anxiety. Sometimes it comes on, and sometimes, you know, you would never know that I go through that. When it gets really bad, one of the things that I do is just deep breathing, and then I do the butterfly technique.
I've been doing that.
Have you?
I have.
And how did you find it?
It's really good, and I think it's quite funny because when you showed me it, it was tap slowly.
Yes.
And my instinct is to go
I'm
like, is that just my nervous system? But it is interesting, even tapping to a beat, because all of a sudden, instead of being in my head, I'm like going
you're concentrating on your body.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, like with trauma, a lot of it is the thought processes that go along from the traumatic event, or even we don't even know that we have trauma in our body sometimes.
You're trying to like short circuit that.
So it's like cutting this sort of the loop of that, and then allowing your body to process it. So just it gets it out of the body, and the breath is amazing for that. So even just when you feel yourself hyped up, just putting your feet flat on the ground and just really feeling into your body, like the weight of your legs on the chair or wherever you are, and just come back into your body so that you're not up here going a million miles an hour and going round and round in anxious loops and whatnot.
Have you ever tried one of those spiky mats that you lay on?
No, I have heard about them though.
I've got one. I don't use it as often as I should, but I sometimes use it before bed, and it's covered in these spikes, and when you lay on it, it forces you to go back to your body because there's this intense warmth with all the blood coming to the back or wherever you put it. I think that's really cool, and I guess maybe that brings you back to your body.
It does, because you've got to focus on the sensations that you're feeling. Because a lot of the time, like our lifestyle these days, we are in our head all the time, or we're on a phone, and what we're interacting with on the phone is through our head as well, because we're thinking about it and we're processing what we're taking in. So it's really, really important to come back into the body just to help process things a bit more, because you can't process things, you can't think your way out of trauma.
Yeah.
You really can't. You have to, it's like a full embodied thing. So it is the mind, it is the emotions, it is the physical vessel as well.
Yeah.
And it's like a three-pronged attack, I suppose, to really get to the bottom of the trauma.
And it's like really having to drag the soul, the spirit, the psyche like back. That's how I see it in my mind. Like you're just dragging it back down. Like, please come back down. For a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's some people who are pretty connected to their body, but they're few and far between.
I know. Well, this is it. Yeah.
Okay. And this one is so interesting. Ancestral alchemy, connecting to ancestors and releasing trauma from lineages. And that goes back and forward.
Yeah, for sure. So there's like a big thing just now around epigenetics.
Yes.
And like people, I'll not go into it, people can research it if they like, but it basically means that we hold memory in our DNA from our ancestors.
Yeah.
So if our ancestors went through trauma, then they didn't process it in their lifetime. They then pass that on to their children within their DNA. Yeah. So you could be carrying in your genetic makeup trauma from like tens of generations before you.
Yeah.
If they didn't know how to process things, didn't get through it and whatnot. Yeah. So that scientific kind of based research really kind of set things firing for me, and I thought, how can we do something about this? Yeah. And it kind of ties in with 2 years ago I had a 40th birthday, and my mum gifted me my great grandma's wedding ring. And I had never connected with my ancestors before on like a kind of psychic level. And with this ring, I meditated, and my great grandma came through. And with that, it was almost like opening the floodgates, and this connection to my own ancestors just appeared. And it was the most beautiful thing that I could ever have asked for. So like, not only did I receive something that was a treasured possession of my grandma, I also gained that connection with her. And I didn't know her. She died when I was a tiny little baby. So I now have that beautiful connection. That
is this your mother's mother?
My mother's grandmother.
Your mother's, so it's from your mother's lineage. My mother's lineage,
yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. So she, great granny Lizzie, she is the catalyst for me to then offer that for other people, because in
you have her name, don't you?
I do. My middle name is Elizabeth. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. My mother and her mother and her mother all have the same name, and my mum didn't, I don't know, she almost forgot, I don't know what she did, but she didn't give me the same name. Yeah. And she said to me, some years ago, she goes like, maybe I made a mistake. I didn't realize until after I'd had you and I'd already named you. And I was like, oh, that's interesting symbolically. I wonder if it cut something off ancestrally.
Yeah. It's the same for me. My great granny, my granny, and my mum are all called Elizabeth. And my middle name is Elizabeth. Yeah. So it's like, because I got Jennifer, that was like the cutting point. Is almost like no more.
Yeah, it changes like the energy in a name. And okay. Yeah. That sounds really lovely. I would love to have you connect to my ancestors, because I don't know them. I feel very detached from them. I feel very close to my ancestral land, but no people. So that's really interesting.
We can definitely do that.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. And then soul whispers. So you're helping, and I love this, you're helping the client hear their own intuition. Yeah. So you're offering both. You're like, I can do it for you, but also if you want to do it yourself, here's how. Yeah. Well, those sessions, the soul whisper sessions, are kind of a mix of the two. Yeah. So I connect with their higher self, and we start off bringing through the messages that they need to hear, and then I work with them to actually feel into those and connect with their own intuition and connect with their body. So it's kind of like teaching a kid to ride a bike. You sort of like hold them, get them going, and then you're like, poof, off you go. Yeah, for sure. I really like that. Okay, so I have some questions here. Where do I start? One of the benefits you listed, and I think it's really interesting, and I think it'd be worth sharing is that you can notice, through any of these sessions, because they're all going to help you find clarity, connect with yourself, connect with your intuition in general.
Yeah.
A change in the behavior of those around you.
Yeah.
Say more.
Okay. So basically, our reality is a mirror, and the behavior of people around you is just mirroring what is going on inside you.
Yeah.
So if you have people, like, I'll give you an example, on the roads recently, I have had a lot of people up my backside. And I think on reflection, the reason for that is because I was going through a period where I was really, really struggling with being on Facebook. And I felt like it was almost like the feeling of being bullied into doing all of these other coaches' programs and, people pushing you to be at this point in your career and
the algorithm gets you too.
Yeah, it does. And I was feeling so bogged down and like as if I was being pushed in a direction that wasn't aligned with me. And that was displayed on the roads. People were literally in my back seat on the roads because they were pushing me along because I clearly wasn't going fast enough for them. And that's how I felt with Facebook, that I wasn't doing things fast enough.
And then you had the irritation at them.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I see how that metaphor works.
So that, like, what happens in your reality is usually something that either is a lesson for you or it's something triggering you because there is something deeper that you need to explore within. So if somebody says something or behaves in a certain way that you don't like, it's usually because they're actually displaying behaviors that you don't like in yourself or that you possibly need to bring out more in yourself. So it's like I guess really it offers us an opportunity to explore a bit more.
Yeah,
really.
I love that because some people might put this in the realm of mental illness or magical thinking, but observing the world around you, if you have that belief that everything is created by an intelligent force that has a sense of humor, it's all knowing, and nothing happens by accident, and nothing is it's all meaningful. And without getting too lost in that thinking, because you can detach from reality and go a bit cuckoo, but having these moments, like you said, the car's up your ass all the time, and noticing that as a pattern, then going, well, what's the universe trying to tell me? I had last night, living up here in the bush, people like, oh, watch out for foxes. I've been up here for 7, 8 years. I've never seen a fox. And then last night I was driving by the primary school and I see this cat and I'm like, that's a weird looking cat. And it was a fox in the dark. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was with my husband. I'm like, look, we're looking at this fox, and it stopped. And he says to me, that fox wanted to be seen because it stopped and it looked dead at us. And then it walked into the bush. And I guess it's kind of like shamanic thinking. Where you see the signs in nature, and for us, nature is now traffic and all that. But I saw that. Oh, I'm getting a ringing in my ear. I saw that fox, and I was like, "What does that mean?" So I whip out my phone like the idiot I am, and Google it, and I get 20 different meanings. I'm like, "You're an idiot. What does it mean? You saw a fox in the dark. You saw it," and it's still something I'm pondering. But yeah, I love that idea of seeing meaning in the things around you, especially when they keep coming up.
And then the more you notice them, that's how you see changes of behavior in other people, because when you actually take the time to focus on you and change what you maybe don't necessarily like about yourself, or at least explore it, and then transmute all of the stuff around it, then other people present you with more, shall we say, amenable behaviors. Because you've taken the time to work through whatever it is that's troubling you. It's a chance to self-reflect. really.
Absolutely.
And when you do that self-reflection, then the world reflects back at you.
The world is a mirror.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I did have some funny questions for you.
Go for it.
Have you ever ran into, I mean, we've talked about this personally, I guess entity attachments with people, and I guess that comes with a lot of it's a big thing to say, because if you don't understand, it could seem like, oh, someone's got a demon on them. It's like, no, sometimes it's just like an annoying thing. Do you encounter that with the people that you see?
Not a huge amount of the time. It has happened before, but a lot of the time, really, these are again just a reflection of ourselves. So if you have some sort of entity or attachment on you, or some kind of what we perceive as darkness, if that is on you or around you, it's because there is something within you that needs to be brought to light. So a lot of the time people are really scared of the thought of entities and attachments and whatnot, but really they are also a gift. There's nothing to fear about it, because when you fear it, it creates like even more intensity around whatever it is that this entity or attachment brings with it. Because usually it is like negative behaviors, or like a continual downward kind of spiral.
Like they compel you to make the wrong choices, because then it feeds that negative energy, and then they get their yum-yums.
Exactly. So if you can look at it as like from a non-judgmental and non-fearful place, then that's how you just, it's almost like you bring your energy up, and then because that can no longer feed off of you because it doesn't have an effect, then it's all good.
Absolutely. Do you have any energy protection techniques to suggest? And I ask this because this is definitely your jam, but as a naturopath, I so often see that people with digestive issues have, I mean, there's more nuance to that, but quite often digestive issues, there is an issue around energetic boundaries. So do you have any suggestions, or like, without spilling your secret sauce, some basic things we can do to protect ourselves energetically, whether it's at work, in traffic, some person that you have to interact with?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many, and like it's great fun exploring them all as well, and seeing what works for you. But some of my go-tos, like crystals, always. I usually carry like any kind of black or dark crystal, like shungite or obsidian, or even like the sort of reddish deeper tones like jasper. Red jasper is very good for protection, especially if you are having problems with boundaries, saying no to people. Red or orange crystals are really good because they're about your sacral chakra, and carnelian is very good for that, or mookaite as well, Australian mookaite. And that kind of protects that area of your body and sort of encourages more confidence. But really, it can be anything. Even like you get energetic sprays now, you'd see these in sort of, alternative shops and things, like energetic sprays. Or you can do visualization techniques. I love doing like even just focusing on your heart and imagine a ball of light at your heart, and then with your breath just expand it out until you are completely encased in a bubble of your own energy. And then you can also visualize like, people seeing nasty things and it just bounces off, or people cutting you up in traffic, it just bounces off you, it doesn't affect you. And you can do the same around your car as well, like push the bubble out so it's around your car.
Invincibility bubble.
Exactly.
Okay, so with the crystals, if you're not crystal savvy, anything black or dark metallic,
the metallic crystals, because they kind of ground you.
So anything dark red. And then you've also mentioned orange or maybe yellow because of the association with those energy centers, and they promote like self-esteem and boundaries,
self-confidence and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love the I'm really bad at it, but the visualization and the one I started using, and I find it, for me, everyone's going to be different, quite potent. It's imagining I'm like an energetic giant badass monster. And then I'm like, no one can touch me. And then I go down to the shopping centre and get out real quick. But yeah, I just almost like believing it as well as visualizing it. And then it's, I think that works.
Yeah,
just feeling this bravado that maybe you don't really feel, but be like, I'm strong, I'm big, and I'm tough, and my energy field is so big, and you can't get in here like gangster.
I love that.
Yeah. Anything else here? Yeah, I was going to ask any like paranormal experiences you want to talk about, or anything during sessions, or
paranormal as in like
just anything weird. I'd like to end the show on a weird note.
A weird note. Usually during sessions, like,
or synchronicity,
because I'm always in the weird anyway, so it doesn't really feel weird.
Yeah.
But like in my own personal life, I've had weird things, like, you know, I hear voices. Like, I used to, when I was a teenager, I used to hear voices in the house that we lived in. Because
don't tell too many people that.
I know, right? They'll cut me off. But yeah, that was kind of like where everything started, that I realized I had that connection with spirit, because I used to hear things.
So there was suggestions when you were younger, that there were little things, and you just go,
well, you know what it's like when you're in your teens and early 20s. You don't want to seem weird. You want to seem normal.
Yeah, your head's pretty far up your own butt anyway.
So exactly.
You don't pay attention.
So you're not going to pay attention to these things. Yeah, there's not, like, I mean, paranormally, like seeing aliens and things like that, no, but like feeling sensations in my body, or, you know, like, I'll give you an example. I was doing a session just the other day with a lovely lady, and my cat has like a tower, you know, like the cat scratching things now. It's a big tower. And the lady I was speaking to, she was going through a particularly difficult time just now. And she feels like the rug's been pulled out from underneath her. And my cat was on the very top tier of her tower. And the way she jumped off of it during this session as well.
On camera?
No, she was off to the side.
Okay.
But she jumped off of it, and the way she kind of pushed against it, she actually knocked the whole tower down, and it clattered to the floor.
Oh.
So it was like a tower moment.
Yeah, the tower tarot card.
Yeah. So it was like a tower moment.
That's
for
good.
This lady. So it was like confirmation of what she was saying. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's very symbolic thinking, meaningful though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine when that energy starts to build when you're in a session, things would happen, and you would pay attention to these things. Yeah,
just like things moving on shelves, or, you know, just something falling over. It could be a gust of wind that caused that, but maybe it's not. Yeah,
it sounds very shamanic.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay. Well, where can people find you?
They can find me on the website, which is intuitive-embodiment.com, or I'm on Instagram, intuitive.embodiment.coach. And I also have a YouTube channel, which I have meditations and things for clients on there that are not available to the public, but I will be opening that up to the public.
Give them like little tasters.
Yeah, exactly. So they can find me on YouTube as well. But all the links are on my website. So.
And I'll put them in the notes, whatever you call them, show notes, the thing underneath the thing, you know what I mean?
In the box below.
In the box below. All right, thank you.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Yay!